guys, I'm Jessie of Crochet by Jessie and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a how to design your own mosaic crochet patterns. I have been requested this quite a few times, I will admit. So today's video is just going to be showing you guys how to create a pattern. We're going to do a very basic pattern in this video. I'm going to be showing you how I've done it, the rules that you have to follow when you're making it, and then what it looks like as the chart is done. And yeah, we'll just go through all of that so that you guys can go away with this information and make your own mosaic crochet designs. So let's get into it. This mosaic crochet sun swatch that you see here was created entirely based off of this chart here. So we're going to be looking at how to create your own mosaic crochet pattern charts to end up with results like this. So I have a blank chart, which is where I'm going to be working my pattern onto, and I'm using a pen to do so. You can do pen or pencil, whichever you would prefer, but I just wanted to make it a little bit bolder so you guys can see on camera how I'm doing. To start off, I'm going to work up a pattern design that I would like to do. So the idea for this is when you're starting out a pattern design, you want to almost create your own pixel art. So right now I'm trying to work on what's going to be kind of like a pyramid-y / triangle shape. It's going to be quite a basic one, but the whole point is that I'm creating it with pixel art first, and I'm just doing a box to create the overall design, and then I'm going to show you how I then convert it into mosaic crochet. And here it's just me messing around figuring out which one I want to do for the design, and I decided I'd like to do this one because I feel like it ends up looking a little bit more triangular. So I've gone for this. So you see one box at the top, you see 3 in the middle, and you see 5 at the bottom. And the idea is that 5, what you need to do is note 5, 3 and 1 for the peak. And when it is mosaic crochet, the first thing you need to do is convert it into the right shape for the stitches. So first things first, we're going to note that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. That's 5 boxes, but what we have to do is we actually have to times it by 2. And the reason for that is because we want to end up having a pixelated square effect, and you need to double going across by 2 to be able to do so. So I'm going to do my pattern chart around there, and the first thing I'm also going to do is I'm just going to mark up, like you see going along the sides, which colour will be used for which row, just because that's going to always alternate with each row. And you would have always noticed that with my pattern charts I have the first and last stitch just showing what colour yarn you were doing for that row. If you happen to have ever followed any of my mosaic crochet tutorials, you'll know that that box represents a single crochet into the front and back loop of the first stitch and then the last stitch on the other side. That will always remain the same, it just goes between colour A and colour B, and you'll see it on the sun swatch that I've got on the side. You'll just see the colours alternating on the first and the last stitch. And now we're just finishing this up, and then once this is done I can start to show you guys how you actually write up the pattern part of this chart. And that's going to be focused on this part here. So whenever I work up a chart, I always like to have a thick background colour base, so you'll see that for this first section here on my swatch. And to do so, you're going to end up having your first row of double crochets onto the 3rd row of the chart. So what we do is we're just going to fill out that first lot of double crochet on the 3rd row. To understand the reason I do that is because you need colour A at the bottom, single crochet, colour B, single crochet, and then the 3rd row can be colour A, double crochet, dropping down. So I've just finished that first row up, and that is how it is looking. So that is how you create that little gap at the bottom. But now we want to look at how to actually add the design, this one here that we're working on. So we need to start to work it up as follows. Going back to why I do it times 2 every time, you'll see a regular double crochet looks like that. It looks rectangular, and in order for it to be square, you want to have 2 lots of it, if I can draw it correctly. There we are, you want to have 2 lots of it. So that is why going across I always multiply by 2 times. So our pixel art has 5 squares, which means we need to have 10 squares filled in now. So I'm just doing that currently. So I'm just filling in 10 squares just to start that first row of our sketch. That's how it's looking. What we need to do after that is we need to note that whenever you're trying to do a new colour, you need to have 2 blank rows. That is exactly like the setup we did for the first lot of double crochet. You need to have single crochet in one colour, single crochet in the opposite colour, and then the 3rd row is dropping down into that colour that you initially set up for the design. So we're just going to fill out a 2nd row of single crochet, so it's all blank but it's got the colour for the charts. So I'm just finishing that up. So you've essentially got colour B, single crochet, colour A, single crochet, and then we're doing the third row. So this is colour B again, but this is going to be a row of double crochet because it's going to drop down to that previous row of the colour B. So once I've filled it all up, we're then going to be adding the X's onto it to mark that this is a row of double crochet. So the reason that this is always the way is whenever you're starting a new section of colour, you have to have 3 rows of that colour present for you to be able to do the drop down. So you need to have the single crochet, the other colour which will then be hidden, and then you need to return to that colour you want to show again to drop down into the initial row of single crochet. And that's how you create this section here. We've just finished the first row of the pattern. Now we're on to the second row, which has 3 squares in the pixel art, which means when we times that by 2, it will be a total of 6. So we're just going to fill in those 6. It's important to note that because we're not technically changing the colour, you don't need 3 rows before you can do a double crochet. What's actually going to happen is because you've already got the double crochet this row here, that's what we would be dropping down into. So because of that, the next row is actually going to be our double crochet row. So I'm just going to fill that in now. So just finishing that up, I will then mark X on this row, and yet again, because we can drop down to that previous row of the double crochet, which is the same colour, it means we're not doing a colour change like we were doing at the start here. So we're now going to work on this next row. It had 1 in the pixel art, which means it's going to be 2 in the Mosaic Crochet chart. So we're doing these 2 here, another 2 here, and that second row of 2, similar to this rule here, is going to be marked with X. That is the basics done. We're now going to look at the background of the pattern. So we've got our actual design here done, alike to the sun over here, but now we need to look at actually doing the background. So the reason we're doing this is because we need to make sure we can actually show the pattern itself. And we'll see, we did the 2 to change our colour here, but it just means that every second row, we're going to be filling it in with X's, just because right now we're not doing a colour change. The background colour is staying the same, and we set the foundations for that in the first 3 rows. As we are getting closer to the design on this row, I will point out something that's going to be slightly different again, just because we will be effectively changing the colour again, which means we have the setup be a little bit different. So you'll see that I don't mark the X's right here in this space, and the reason for that is because we need to have the 2 rows of single crochet before we can then colour change again. So whenever you want a new colour showing, you need 2 rows of single crochet as the setup, and then the third row is what the new colour will be when it drops down as a double crochet. One thing to look out for when you are writing up pattern charts that will just show if you've made an error, because I'm focusing on the background colour, you need to make sure that the colours on the sides correspond with what types of stitches you're doing. So you can see that my background colour is using the white part of the chart, but if on the white part of the chart I don't have my double crochets and I've chosen to put them on the darker marked parts of the chart, that doesn't line up properly, because I can only do my background double crochet when I'm on the colour of the background. So with my swatch I'm using lemon, so I can only use the double crochet for this background when I'm on the row for the lemon. So that's how it works. You'll also see I've just been mirroring what I'm doing on one side to the other side for this design. I'm doing the same thing again here with that rule of the 2 rows of single crochet before you're able to do a double crochet at this point here. And then I'm just filling in the rest of the double crochets for this row because it's a double crochet every other row for the background. And although this pattern itself is very, very basic, it's going to be able to give you the possibilities and the tools you need to make your own really complex designs in the future. And as I'm just finishing this up, I'm just going to really focus on showing what the design is going to look like. So I'm just making it a little bit clearer for you guys that this is what the finished design will look like when you work up this pattern chart. So it is a bit of a triangular / pyramid shape. I just wanted to do something that was going to be simple but really effective and clear when explaining how to do mosaic crochet patterns. So when you work the chart up, you should have a shape like that, centered in the middle of your swatch in the same way that my sun is placed here. We're just doing that top section here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our skip 2 for the single crochet at the top here. And then on the rest of the row is just the alternate double crochet with the X's. So we're just going to go across the entirety of the row for that. It's the same kind of method that we're doing here that we did at the start of the swatch, where you have the 3 rows for the setup, just so you can have a slightly thicker background aspect at the top and the bottom of the swatch. I always include this in my designs just because I think it makes the overall design a bit more balanced. But you can see we've got our design placed in the middle, and then we've got all of the adequate stitches on the outside of it as well. This video is giving you the tools to create your own mosaic crochet pattern designs. Always remember, create it in pixel art first. You'll need to double going across how many stitches you do, and then the height can always stay the same. It's just going across so you can create it into a square stitch. And yeah, let me know how you guys found this video and if you were able to work up your own swatch or make designs such as this in the future. So that is our little workshop done, guys. I hope you found it useful and that you feel like you can go away and design your own mosaic crochet patterns now, fingers crossed. So yeah, do let me know what you thought of this little workshop / tutorial in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then please do subscribe to my channel as well as pressing the bell to be notified when my next video is up. Bye guys.